All right, we are live. Hello, everyone. A warm welcome to all TMSC Red Devils NCR. It's been a minute since I've seen you guys. I have Mojo sir, Avijit bhai, and Paritosh bhai with me on the stream. Warm welcome to you, gentlemen, and warm welcome to everyone on the stream as well. Uh, International break, not exactly the most favorite time in our fixture calendar or the Premier League or for fans in the Premier League in general. It's a very mixed relationship with international breaks. Uh, we like it when we are not in form, but we absolutely loathe it just at the time when we are hitting the crest of a wave. So, somewhat of a mixed relationship there. This time, surely it's the latter. We were finding form, we were finding a semblance of a good run, and just at that time, we had the international break come in. But also, it's been a good time for some of the players to get that much needed rest, the rejuvenation or the recuperation that they required after basically running themselves to the ground for the past 3 months in the midst of arguably one of the most grueling fixture calendars that we've ever seen. Uh, Before we get into the main topic, Sir Alex into the Premier League Hall of Fame, and let's just say that it was a mere formality. I mean, if it was up to us, then we would have wanted. It should have been Sir Alex and Arsene Wenger to start off the Hall of Fame, but then sooner rather than later, whatever it is. Before we get into the topic, Mojo sir, I'd like to open the question to you. Uh, Finally, Sir Alex into the Hall of Fame, and he's basically now immortalized. Not that he it didn't need anything, but he was already immortalized before. But now with his entrance into the Hall of Fame, his status as arguably the greatest manager of all time is sealed. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, like you said, it's not a surprise, and it's a shame that it had to come so late. Ever since this Hall of Fame thing started. So yeah, I mean, if there's anybody who's deserving to be there, if there was ever such a thing like, you know, the a team sheet of Hall of the Fame, then you would know that Sir Alex Ferguson would be the first name on it. So yeah, not surprised. Absolutely deserved. And I'll be honest enough in saying that it's not only about us United fans. There are a lot of other fans who would acknowledge this, apart from a few absolute bitter assholes in Liverpool or Leeds, who would probably say that Sir Alex Ferguson isn't the greatest manager of all time ever seen. So yeah, rightly deserved, and absolutely thrilled about it.
Abhijit bhai, with Sir Alex Ferguson finally entrenched into the Hall of Fame, and with Arsene Wenger also along with him, these are the two managers who more or less defined the Premier League and made the Premier League the brand that it is today. The rivalries between the two managers were absolutely spellbinding. These were the two men who brought their teams to absolute great highs. While Sir Alex had the treble, Arsene Wenger had the invincible season, and it was a constant tussle between two giants of the game. So, what do you make of Arsene Wenger also getting into the Hall of Fame? Deserved, do you think, or do you believe that there was any other manager apart from the two who deserved to be in the Hall of Fame?
No, I think Arsene Wenger deserved to be in the Hall of Fame because whenever you think after Sir Alex Ferguson, the name second pops on is Sir Arsene Wenger. The way he made the powerhouse of Arsenal was, phenomenal. You see what he has done at Arsenal. The whatever you said that invincible the season, he bought those talents. What he made, like Henry, you say Bergkamp, you say you count countless names for Arsenal, and he made that that intense rival. When I started to watch United, there was only one thing I was rival. I was not known for Liverpool. I didn't know about Liverpool, but I was very very had a rival thing about I was very very मतलब वो मुझे चीड़ आती थी आर्सेनल की because he the way he used to play in that era, the way Henry used to take the ball, Bergkamp, everyone was very very tussle to watch because I saw that 2005 semi-final, and that was the breakthrough the what United, and who else you want to make those banter about that Arsene Wenger's team. So Arsene Wenger deserved to be in that Hall of Fame, and he has done a very very good job in Arsenal era, and and he deserves him, because only the two manager I personally admire. I think also Jose Mourinho. Only three managers I really admire in that, and those are three: Sir Alex and Arsene Wenger and Jose Mourinho. And why not Arsene Wenger? Really deserves to be in that Hall of Fame.
Yeah, rightly said. These are the two iconic managers of their time, and their influence is unparalleled. And they are, and it's they have only gone and further entered them, have got entry into the pantheon of greats. Not that they needed it, but it is what is. Paritosh bhai, let's come to the main topic. That is the midfield in as far as our midfield is concerned. Now, over the course of this season, we've dealt with a plethora of issues concerning our midfield. While first our midfield was criminally understaffed, there came a time with the additions of Eriksen and Casemiro that we had a pretty competent midfield. Then the Casemiro saga happened, where he was suspended twice for a major chunk of games, and then we had the Eriksen injury, which once again forced us to go into the market. The Donny Van de Beek injury also put a spanner in the work, and then once again we were again on the brink as far as midfielders were concerned. But then came in Sabitzer, and now if you see, there is a good mix of midfielders in spite of the fact that Casemiro is still suspended. Uh, all of our midfielders were in the goals this week. Scott scored four in two games. Casemiro was among the goals himself. Sabitzer had two goals and an assist too. So all in all, it has been a very good week for our midfielders in particular, as far as the international break is considered. What do you make of these performances in the international break, especially concerning these three midfielders? That's Casemiro, Scott McTominay, and Marcel Sabitzer in particular.
First of all, I'd like to say a huge congratulations to every Manchester United fan on the inclusion of Sir Alex Ferguson in the illustrious Premier League Hall of Fame. And you were talking about Arsene Wenger. I just want to highlight we all United fans, we consider Sir Alex Ferguson the greatest. But I think in Sir Alex becoming the greatest, Arsene Wenger had a huge role because he was the first one to bring in a strict regime of diet and exercise to the Premier League. Uh, he brought in the French academy players who nobody considered to be elite level players when it came to the Premier League. He was the first one to include these players in the Premier League, and then we had the whole generation of talents coming in, and these were the moments that will be considered as milestones when it comes to the Premier League and the football history in general. Coming to the midfield question about Manchester United, uh, we I think the international break came in as a double-edged sword. On one hand, it was a relief for us as the games were about to mount and take a huge toll on the midfielders because many of them were playing week in week out, multiple games at times, 2 3 games in a week, and that would take a toll on any player in the world. We have seen the stats on Bruno Fernandes as he has been the most most played player in the top five European leagues, if I'm not wrong. He has the most minutes under his belt this season. So this kind of shows that although there has been injuries, there have been some players who have been played week in week out, and they needed a break. Although Bruno hasn't had a break in sense that he was on duty with Portugal, but still a relief from the 2 games every week. We can consider it a great break from the schedule because it gave Ericsson the time to make a recovery, and he would be a key player coming back in. Now, coming back to your question, Delvin, about the three players, I think Casemiro, Sabitzer, they both were great, along with McTominay. Although I believe that McTominay is on his way out because I don't think he's going to be a week in, week out player under Eric Ten Hag. He's going to be a French player. I don't think he wants that. He wants multiple minutes under his belt, and the position that he usually prefers, that position a little going forward a little that is heavily loaded in Manchester United right now. So I don't think he has a great future, but I'll be I'll be more than happy if he continues to perform the way he was performing for Scotland, for United. Then he might have a chance if he scores goals like that. Sabitzer, I think he'll be injured for a while, as confirmed by Rangnick and Austria football team.
So, as far as the Sabitzer injury is concerned, it's not exactly an injury. It's so Rannick went
Not
on to elaborate. He said that it is pain tolerance. That is not exactly an injury. There is knee pain for Sabitzer, so it is about tolerance. So he said that there is a chance that he can play also. So it's not exactly an injury. Even it is given in the Man United statement also regarding Sabitzer's update. So
so
it's not exactly an injury. Yeah.
I think because we have had these players who have had to go through pain for a while, I don't want him to get injured in the long run. So if he has to rest a week or so, I think it will be in the best interest of both the parties, Sabitzer and the club. We want him for as long as possible, and I think many Manchester United fans want him on a permanent basis after the loan spell ends as well. So for that to happen, I don't want these small injuries and niggles to mount up because we saw the same thing happen to Marcus Rashford, and one season of his was destroyed last season because of the same thing because he had to get an injury, get a surgery, and then he had to miss the preseason. For that, he had after missing the preseason, he was not able to make a comeback, and then he was off pace throughout the season. This season he had a proper preseason, and then he was able, we also what happened during the season under Ten Hag. So I don't want that kind of thing to happen to Sabitzer. So if there is going to be a therapy session or whatever for his body to recover fully, I want him recovered fully. If Ericsson can make a comeback and he can play some minutes. I want him back because he was a key player when he was in the side. Although he has not played for the past few weeks or months, I want him because he is a creative player who has had a huge impact ever since he made his debut for Manchester United. Uh, and Casemiro, as we all know, is a great player. Whether he's playing for Brazil, whether he's playing for Real Madrid, whether he's playing for Manchester United, as proven by now. So his performances in particular were important, and I think because I want Sabitzer rested, I am especially happy that McTominay played a key role in his Scotland appearance because he could feature for United in the coming weeks.
Fair enough, Paitish Bhai. Very well put as far as the performances of different midfielders is concerned. Moses, sir, let's talk about one of the midfielders who was in the news and in the spotlight for all the right reasons, and that's Scott McTominay. So throughout the course of this international break, in the two games that they played, he scored 4 goals, while two of them were against Cyprus. Not exactly the type of opposition that people like to gloat about, but the other two were against Spain. Now, irrespective of the fact that Spain are a team who are under transition. They do have some world class players in their ranks, and they do have some really good quality players up their sleeves as well. Scoring two against them always is a great sign. Now, Paritosh Bhai did speak about the fact that Scott McTominay could very well find himself out of the club come this summer, with at least two suitors put out in the open. I think one is Newcastle and the other is West Ham. So these are the two teams who are pretty much interested in acquiring Scott McTominay over the summer. So with I think we might considering the fact that we do make the FA Cup final and we do make the Europa League final. That's 5 games, 2 games, and 12. So that's close to 20 games left in our season still. Uh, do you think that Scott's performances in the international break, if he translates into the Premier League, is it a good case for Scott, making himself available in the market, like a case of window shopping per se? And if at all, if that is the case, would you take every bit of good performance that Scott gives, irrespective of whether you like the player or whether you don't like the player? As long as he puts in a shift and that shift results in us getting a positive result, would you take that?
See, my excuse me, my health is a little dodgy right now. Um, my only thing about Scott McTominay is how Eric Ten Hag has chosen to use him in the season so far. Uh, I don't necessarily recall that McTominay has ever been a regular presence so far in the season. And having said that, if you had something like 25 games in 80 odd days before the international break came along, I think we have the similar scenario which is going to unfold starting this Sunday. So every player who believes that he can be useful to the team in the way that I'm sorry, guys, in the way that the manager expects or in the way that he can contribute, then I guess those players should be used. Um, I shared this on our WhatsApp group as well that predominantly what we've seen post the World Cup is that Eric Ten Hag has predominantly used McTominay more as a 80th minute or a 75th minute substitute just to see out the game and shore up the midfield. Now, in that a role or in a role of a deep lying midfielder, we all know McTominay is absolutely useless. That's where all the jokes and all the banter towards him come from. But every time he plays attacking midfield, and that's just my observation because that's where he gets his goals from, either for United or for Scotland. He's been very useful. Now, playing him an attacking midfield, would that mean that you can, probably rotate Bruno? That's a massive risk. Can you rotate Sabitzer? That's a massive risk again. So yeah, I mean McTominay comes down that pecking order quite a bit, and that reflects in the sense that Eric Ten Hag has predominantly used him to see out games, to shore up the midfield, or to make those strategic changes wherein you're comfortable in the game, or if not comfortable, you need to pack that midfield so that the opposition doesn't get a sniff. So, but yes, look, with 2022 odd games, what 12 games left in the Premier League, and maybe three
12
in.
games, 12 games in the Premier League, 2 games if we consider United win the semi-final, and 5 games if we consider that United make the finals of the Europa. So that's 19
So
games.
5 and 2, 7, 7 and 12, 19 games.
19 games.
So 19 games in the remainder part of what, 70, 75 days of the season. So the equation is the same. It was 25 games in 85 days. Now it is 19 in 70, 75 days. So you will need the entire, depth of the squad. And again, look, it all depends how Eric Ten Hag sees McTominay. Uh, will he? I don't recall. If you guys do recall, I mean, please do share it here. I don't recall Eric Ten Hag having used McTominay as an attacking midfielder for the entire duration of the season. And I don't recall Eric Ten Hag having started McTominay at any given point of the season, apart from maybe 1 or 2 or 3 matches, maybe. He's predominantly come on as a substitute. So for the fixture load, we need McTominay. But for how Eric Ten Hag uses him, I believe that he would look for a way out in the summer, and whether he can play as many minutes to get his value up, to get us a few more £1 million here or there. I mean, it really doesn't matter because the likes of Newcastle or West Ham would easily pay 35-40 million for him.
After this performance of McTominay in the international break, Abhijit, by continuing with you, there has been a consensus among United fans, and not exactly a consensus, but it's just a gentle breeze of whispers that are coming around that should Eric Ten Hag start McTominay as a striker. Now there is good upside to the fact that, like Mojo sir said, McTominay does his best work when he's closer to the opponent's goal. Now, whether that's in the form of a number 8, number 10, or whatever it is remains to be seen. It's interesting to know that McTominay started off his career in the Manchester United Academy as a striker. That's something that is worth putting out just before I say what I say. Now, if Ten Hag is known to be pretty flexible in his tactical approaches. He's tried Sancho at the 10, which is not his natural position. He's tried Weghorst at the 10, which is not exactly Weghorst's natural position either. So, could there be a possibility where we could see, I'm not saying it should happen, could there be a possibility where we do see Scott McTominay as a 9? Hell, he's even started Harry Maguire as a striker at one game. So, who's to know?
I'm at the moment to give an unpopular opinion. Why don't we start McTominay as a striker and Wout Weghorst as a deep lying playmaker or a number 6? could be good to swap the position. But if you look at McTominay's profile, he's he's good in when in counter attacks, or even in some time of when we are in attacking position. That is his has been his profile. He's good in out. When you see McTominay as a player, he's good in out muscling a player, not outplaying, just like what Casemiro does. He's not that player, so he can do some he's good on duels actually. So it could be a good addition, but he can't have a dynamism like what Fred and Casemiro does. So as you said that uh, what manager demands on that basis he can perform in a team, in a Scotland team. What manager prefers, he has done his roles. In Ten Hag, I don't see him as number 6 as he is playing now, because even in the starting of the season, as Majusar was stating that he has not hardly played that much match. But before Casemiro was integrated in the team, he was played alongside Fred. So and Ericsson. So he even Ericsson used to take the ball up front. He too also contributed in the attack. So he was not a player who can reside in the backside and defend when there is a counter. So he always used to contribute in the attacking. So uh, as a even if you see in the ball progression, he's not been at that good, apart from that one pass that he took in the Liverpool game, that would at OT, where Elanga almost scored. But he's not good as his ball carrying forward. So he can contribute in attacks, but he cannot he's not in a number. So uh, looking at the what you said now, what the question, yes, why can't we utilize? Because we need goals. If McTominay is doing something great in his uh, in his international performance, and if he can replicate in this United, and we need a goal scorer apart from Rashford. So and Wood was not performing. So why can't we use it? Yes, if you think it hypothetically, yes, why not? Why not to utilize? You- If you think it is a no-brainer, but because he's not that profile of a player, but if he can contribute in that spaces, no, we can utilize. Because Wood Weghorst, when we stand in Wood Weghorst, see, he has that mind, मतलब उसका दिमाग चलता है लेकिन पैर नहीं चलते भाई. ऐसा ऐसा सिचुएशन है उसका. उसको दिमाग, he creates the spaces but he can't perform on legs. तो भाई मैकटॉमनी तो भाई दोनों चलाता है भाई. If you look at his international goals, if you have seen, हाँ ठीक है भाई, no one will agree that he will not, but उसको अभी क्या कोइंसिडेंस है, मतलब मुझे भी नहीं पता है भाई, लेकिन वो उस टाइम पे था और उसने गोल मार दिया. I
No,
don't know
it's
what
not
is.
about. I'm not talking about his performances in the international circuit. There have been many instances where McTominay has lacked game awareness in a United shirt. So that is why we said the no. It's not
But
based on his international performances. His
but
4 goals in these international performances have been great. There is no doubt about it. But uh, the fact still remains that you said about a player profile. See, hypothetically, you can put him up front. He can give us what? If he gives us what, 6 or 7 goals in 12 Premier League games, it's a brilliant return. It's happy, so on and so forth. But then again, it comes down to the fact that whether he's really able
अच्छा,
to capitalize on those chances in club level. That is what it comes to.
also
I don't think it comes down to that. I think it comes down to the fact that Wout Weghorst, even when he's not scoring goals, he's contributing in a major sense for others' goals. He's creating spaces for Rashford. He's creating the place for Anthony to go wide. He's creating those passes and he's linking up the play. For Scott McTominay, he lacks that game awareness near the box. You're saying that वुड वेगॉस दिमाग चलाता है, पैर नहीं चलाता. मैकटोमिने पैर चलाता है कभी कभार, वो भी 2-3 बारी में, और दिमाग तो चलाता ही नहीं है उतना ज्यादा, उतना फास्ट मैकटोमिनी कांट ऑपरेट. ठीक है, मैकटोमिनी इज अ गुड प्लेयर इन हिज प्रोफाइल. मैकटोमिनी विल बी एन एक्सीलेंट एडिशन फॉर वेस्ट हैम और न्यूकासल बिकॉज ही इज अ ग्रेट टॉप 10 प्लेयर, टॉप 10 साइड प्लेयर. He's and sadly for him, I think he can be a great top 3 team player as well. But in this particular system and what we are going to play, I don't think McTominay fits. His profile is good. He's not a bad player. I never said that he's not hardworking. And no, I wanted him to succeed. I wanted him to be the next Roy Keane with his profile. But he's not that player. I'm sad to say
Yes.
that he's not. He's not that
Yes.
specially aware. He lacks in key moments. He misses. Although he has scored some bangers for us against Leeds and some teams, but
Arsenal also.
those are one-off. That happen once in a season. We can't have these players play week in week out who are doing these wonders once a season. We want these players to perform at least 10, 15 times a season, and that is not the case with Scott McTominay. Sadly, we wanted him to be the second coming of Roy Keane, but he is not. He is not having that kind of game awareness. And sadly for Scott McTominay, he had to change his game to play for Manchester United. Even when he was playing regularly, he was not playing his favorite positions. He was playing as a defensive midfielder, as a holding midfielder, which he is not. If you look at his track record, even with Scotland, he plays as a centre back who moves up the field. He tries to carry the ball and move up the field and create attacking positions. If you look at his academy days at United, he was played as a number 8 or a player between a number 10 or 8. He was more attacking and more offensive than he was played at Manchester United, and that is the kind of role he wants. But in that particular position, we have players like Bruno Fernandes. We now have Christian Eriksen. Once Ahmad comes in, he is also the similar kind of player who likes to be in that particular position. When we had Angel Gomez, he used to play that similar position.
Sancho.
We have Sancho who plays similar position. We have Facundo Pellistri who plays similar position, and he is not technically better than these players. Although he might outrun them at times, he might be physically good, but we don't need these players in these positions who are physically good. We want players who are press resistant, who are able to create spaces and find passes, and that is where Scott McTominay lacks. And sadly for him, I think he's on his way out of the club. I'm very disappointed because I wanted him to be a great player for Manchester United, but he's not. He's technically not that good. It's just that.
Jayan also spoke about him being okay as a backup, not exactly as a starter. Yeah, totally agreed to that, Jehan. But here's the thing: we are talking about McTominay not having a future at the club beyond this season. I think at this point of time, everyone in this panel
I
will
think
agree
we have.
that in the next 19 games, that McTominay will be playing a very crucial role for us in whatever capacity it is. All four of us are absolutely in cahoots with the fact that McTominay, not just McTominay, each and every player in that squad is going to have to play out of their skins to make sure that we, solidify on third place or even go for second place if and when the chance arises. And make sure that we make a play for the rest of the two trophies as well. So the problem here is whether McTominay is able to replicate the early promise. So like Paritosh Bhai said, for me, it's a classic case of a high floor, low ceiling as far as McTominay's trajectory is concerned.
I think McTominay, the problem with him is not only that he's an average player, the fact that his ambitions are greater than that. He is not going to be an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer who is going to be a substitute for the time he plays and come in and do his job and then also play as a second fiddle. He is not going to want that. He wants to play majority of the games and be a starter, and that is not going to happen at Manchester United at least. That is what is visible
Sadly,
from an
that's how
outsider's perspective.
sadly that's how every player of this generation feels. Unfortunately, it is what it is. Like
It's
it's
not wrong.
McTominay is not, yeah, it's not wrong, but then you cannot have every player believe that they are going to be the next coming of Jesus Christ, whatever that is. You
I think
just cannot have that. Having a mindset like that up to a certain point is good, but when things are not going your way, you're not
I
performing
think
on
that
the
is
field.
I think that is going to work for Weghorst because I think he's going to be okay playing second fiddle even if when we sign a striker.
the
But
man's
I don't
literally
think,
playing for the man's literally playing his soul to be fourth choice striker. So
yeah.
that's basically what it has come to.
So I think and it's also because of the pedigree of the player. I think McTominay because he was a part of the academy and he came through the system at United at least for a while. So I think he sees that if I was part of academy, I was a top player throughout because United Academy is known throughout the world to produce top players, and he's saying that if I'm able to contribute to the first team, maybe or not maybe, I am one of the top players, so I should be playing for a top club or at least be able to prove my worth in a position. Maybe he just outshines everybody in Newcastle and West Ham, and he's able to get a great transfer to another solid team where he is required. But I don't think that is going to be mentioned as of now, at least.
I think the next transfer, whatever next transfer that McTominay gets, is his major payday. I don't see him get another transfer after that, irrespective of whether he plays well or no. Because McTominay's player profile fits the Premier League. I don't think if you put him in La Liga, it's going to work. Syria is way too defensive for a player of his gift, so he might end up stat padding there, but then once again, not exactly a relevant comparison. So if he's going to stay, it's either going to be in the Premier League, and I think for him, out of the two clubs, I believe Newcastle is the more tailor-made fit, because Howe rates him very highly. Eddie Howe rates him very highly, and that is what it is. Jayan says in the comments that McTominay versus Leeds in 2020 was the McTominay we wanted, and that is basically McTominay's signature performance, and that is the performance which signifies what profile of a player he is, and how and what player he's become for us. So it's a massive world of a difference from what that performance against Leeds was, and what exactly is his performance been throughout the 5 or 6 years that he's played for us. So going to our next player, this is a player who's been out for a while, and his return is like a shot in the arm for us. Automatically replenishes our midfield options, gives us a valuable ball carrier who can use his tactical nous, in-game awareness, and expert intelligence to make sure that the game is in control. And that's Christian Eriksen. More so, Christian Eriksen throughout the international break has been doing drills on grass. He's doing football drills on the grass. While he not be able to be fit in time for the Newcastle game, there is a genuine and realistic chance that he could get involved in first team activities from the game after Newcastle. How important was it to have Ericsson for this stretch, which is arguably the most important? Because from here, every game is basically a de facto knockout game. We have the semi-final. By the way, the dates for the semi-final have come out. United play Brighton on the FA Cup semi-final on the 23rd of April, which is a Sunday. And City play Sheffield United the day before. That's the 22nd of April. So that's the date for the semi-final of the FA Cup. So with the semi-final there, with the two-legged quarter-final against Sevilla, how important was it that Eriksen's finally fit and very, very close to first-team action?
Am I answering that?
Yes, Moses, the question was
Okay.
to you.
No, I mean it's a blessing with all these fixtures piling up, and we pretty much knowing that the likes of what McTominay and Fred can bring to the table if they are the only midfield left with us, God forbid. So yeah, him coming along it's yes, like you said, it's going to be a fresh air, primarily because what he can offer. He has that creative knack in him. He can break through the lines, and more often than not, and unfortunately, we have seen him play that defensive role as well, where he's taken the ball off the defense and then carried it forward. So, given where we are as a team, given how the fixture congestion is, so yeah, Eriksen coming back is a massive boost. Most significantly, is because of the experience. Him having played very critical and big matches for wherever he's been, so that brings in a lot of experience as well, because you're going to be now playing the semi-finals and the quarterfinals and the run-in. So you need somebody with that kind of experience, with that kind of guile, and that sort of multidisciplinary approach, that he can be used as an attacking midfielder or a sitting midfielder. And his passes are just out of this world. When he gets it right, he's just on par with anybody out there right now. So yeah, having Eriksen back is definitely going to be a major boost, because we still don't know how critical the situation with Sabitzer is. We're definitely not going to have Casemiro for the next 3 Premier League games. So yeah, I mean, we will miss him against Newcastle. Let's be honest, Newcastle is not going to be an easy place to go and play now. The fans are up for it, and So the club is going to be up for it. I don't think Newcastle had as many players go away on international duty as we did, although we had about 6 or 7 of them get a proper complete rest. But let's see. I mean, Ericsson is not going to be available for Newcastle, but I guess from there on, post Newcastle, then it should be a decent enough and a strong midfield where you have Sabitzer, you have Ericsson, you have Bruno, and then the backup lads in McTominay. But having said that, Fred has had a great season so far. Nobody gave him that chance under Eric Ten Hag. So you can't rule out Fred being involved in all the games before Casemiro is back. So no, coming back to Ericsson, great to have him back. Let's just hope his guile, his ability to cut through the lines, and all the skills that he possesses helps through in the cup games and as well as in the run in.
And also, you spoke about Fred, sir. It's worth noting that Fred wasn't selected for international duty, so he has
Yeah,
had full 2 weeks
yeah,
of rest
he's at the
himself.
rest
Yeah,
as well. Yeah,
he's has
yeah.
rest. I'm sorry to go off topic, but there's this very interesting piece on the Guardian about Kai Havertz, and there's this one
Donkey thing.
particular, yeah, exactly. From day one, I felt a special relationship with donkeys. It's a very calm animal, and I personalize myself with them because I'm calm too. Donkeys chill all day, don't do much, just want to live their life. I love them always. The fact
Well,
that no wonder he chose
his his
Chelsea.
his goal scoring record tells us enough. He doesn't want to do anything all day.
No, no wonder he chose Chelsea also
Uh,
because of his relationship with donkeys.
I think
And
he's the top scorer. I think he's the top scorer at Chelsea, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, like 5 goals this
yes,
season.
5 or 6 goals.
So you can't really question his goal scoring abilities. He's
Yeah,
the
so I'm
top
saying, yeah,
scorer at
exactly.
Chelsea.
Yeah, 26 games and 5 goals. Yeah, pretty much a donkey then. Yeah. And how much did he
And
cost him? Some 65 million?
72.
I think it's
72.
72
better.
million.
I think it's better than the
Fucking hell.
70.
72 million, and he scored 5 goals in some 24,
I
25
think
games.
I
And
think
and
it's
and the Premier League lads, the rival fans, have the gumption to fucking question the signing of Anthony. भाड़ में जाओ यार सारे.
I
I
think,
think it's still
yeah,
it's still better than 72, 75 odd million that Arsenal paid for Nicolas Pepe.
Oh,
So it's still better.
yeah, but here's the thing. I mean, banter all said and done, true enough. But the fact still remains that Havertz has been basically played around like a donkey. He's been
Acha,
played as a striker. He's played as a winger. He's played as a 10 also. So I mean, you can understand. But yeah, donkey does all the hard work as well. So yeah, safe
I
to say
mean, look,
that.
if you really want to
I
use
want to
that
throw
sort
a
of
question.
example, so has been Rashford, but he's
Yeah,
got
yeah,
the goals.
absolutely. Yeah, he has. I'm just saying. No, I'm just saying. As far as his relation to the donkey is concerned, that's
Oh,
that's what
Come
my
on,
point.
Delvin.
That's
Come on,
what my
Delvin.
point.
donkey.
Enough with the low blow. Enough with the low blow.
I would
Acha, I
love
want to
somebody
throw
at
a question
Stamford
out.
Bridge to turn around and call him a donkey in the typical that कौन सी movie आई थी वो Shrek. Hey,
Shrek.
donkey.
I want to throw a question out. What do
Yeah.
you think about Van de Beek? What do you guys think about Van
He's
de
not
Beek?
back for the season. I don't think so.
He's
No,
not
no.
playing the season.
He's not
No.
playing. He's injured. He's
Yeah,
injured. He had
yeah.
a surgery. But do you think there is still time for him to have a comeback in Manchester United career, or he's just going
Six.
to find another club this summer?
The
Look,
sign. This. Yeah. Melissa, you go
if,
first.
if
Mohsen,
I'm so,
Mohsen.
so sorry to put it, but
No, no.
I honestly believe that for his own good, I think he should himself realize he needs to move on. Maybe go back to Ajax or find his place somewhere. But given how Eric Ten Hag really wants next season to be, I think there are a few players who are the so-called the weak links or the weak points that we have in the squad. Van de Beek being one, McTominay being one. I guess Fred probably will continue. So yeah, I mean in the midfield. Um, and if we are all saying, look, all the fans and everybody on the social media and all these pundits and all these so-called transfer gurus, whoever they are, have been saying that United will be looking to strengthen the midfield. So if you're looking to strengthen the midfield, that means how many held the midfields can you carry at one time? And then you got to consider that I mean Greenwood is going to be back as well, off your right wing or your left wing, wherever it is. Don't make that face, Delvin. He's back. Um, don't shake your heads. He's back. Your collective heads, both of you. But no, look. I mean, whenever you want, we can discuss the Greenwood thing again. But then, like coming back to Van de Beek, I guess you know, I don't know. I would like the guy to be given one more year under Eric Ten Hag.
I feel the same. I feel the same because
But I mean, there is enough instance of having played, I think, 7 or 8 or 9 games under Eric Ten Hag where he's basically contributed nothing. So I
Uh,
could it be that it's a matter of confidence thing because the way he was completely shunted out of the squad by Oli and by Ralph Ranić. So it's a confidence thing, so that Eric Ten Hag feels that I can get the best out of him. So yeah, give him another year. But then what Eric Ten Hag is trying to build, does Van de Beek hold that quality to be able to get to that level? I don't know. So from where I see it, I think he should move. But look, it's anybody's call.
Delvin?
yeah, for me also, I have a different or so when he started that game against Bournemouth in which he got injured, the 40 minutes that he played, he was actually very promising. He did not have a bad performance in that game by any stretch of the imagination. So what I felt is that had he played the entire 90 that game, which I'm pretty certain he would have had he not been injured, I think he would have got that run of starts which would automatically be the boost to his confidence. Unfortunately, I think that injury was bad. I'm still shocked that that foul was not looked up by VAR. And it wasn't even given a bloody foul. Imagine it wasn't given a foul as well. In the
That
magnitude
is
of that foul.
mentioned this season.
Yeah.
That is
So
mentioned this season.
based
If Casemiro made a tackle like that, he'll be banned for 10 games at least.
exactly, I want Mitrovic to be banned for at least a year, but let's see how that pans out. So coming back to Van de Beek, I think based on that 40 minutes that I seen, I think there is still a player which could have a massive impact. But then again, it comes to the congestion of one particular place, one particular position, like we spoke about. Partosh, by you put it forward. The likes of Sancho now playing at the 10. There is Bruno, obviously, who will be taking some replacing to do, if at all. Tena does even think about having a change in that particular position. Then there is Ahmad and Pelestri who play similar positions. Then there is Weghorst also who has been experimented. And I'm not sure whether it's going to stay beyond the summer or no. But up until that is decided, Vego still remains a very palpable option up there. And then we have Van de Beek also. So the pecking order is huge. And I don't see Van de Beek flexible enough to change, irrespective of the fact that he comes from the Ajax school. I'm pretty conflicted myself. I want him to be given at least 6 months, not a whole season. 6 months because then we can cut our losses in Jan rather than wait up until the summer. So 6 months for me, if at all he does make a full recovery. But I'm tilting towards stay, though not exactly tilting towards leave, but I'm tilting towards stay for now. As far as Donny is concerned, there's still a player there. There is a reason why Real Madrid wanted him. Let's not forget. There is a
Do
reason why
you
Real
think
Madrid wanted him.
Do you think Frankie transfer was a big deal in him not finding another club last season, and Erik ten Hag saying that maybe, just maybe, Frankie comes in and then he can have the similar partnership that he had with Frankie when Ajax made that run in the semi-finals of the Champions League when they were finally ousted by Tottenham Hotspurs in that particular season.
I
Do you
doubt
think
because the
Frankie's transfer happens,
No, I
foresee
don't
good
think.
days for him?
I don't know because the team around both the sides were different. That Ajax team and this United team are chalk and cheese. So just having those two midfielders as part of the midfield fulcrum, I don't think it would have done much of a difference because United is an entirely new system, and Frankie would have to take time to learn that system. And Donny himself is not used to that system because he's barely played. So there is the problem once again. You have two quality midfielders, but then the system is entirely new. Wouldn't make much of a difference even if Frankie had come, to be really honest.
Okay. Mojo sir,
Yeah.
do you have an opinion about this, or does your answer remain the same?
I mean, look, my answer remains the same. I mean, I believe he should move. But then if Eric Ten Hag thinks that we can have a game, I mean, we can give him 6 months and a decent game time to see whether he can come back to what he was with Eric Ten Hag at Ajax. So yeah, give him the 6 months. But from where it is right now, I would believe that it's best for both that he moves. Because look, if by any chance Eric Ten Hag does strengthen the midfield, then what's the pecking order? Where is Van de Beek then for you?
Mm.
So if at the current situation you're talking about, even at the time when we didn't have Sabitzer, right? You had you had Van de Beek way down the pecking order in terms of what Eric Ten Hag would prefer him or when he would prefer him to start. Now, if the midfield gets strengthened in the summer, then where is his place in that pecking order? Uh, and I believe we should, keep Sabitzer. If that's your midfield strengthening for about a 20-25 million, then maybe yeah, give Van de Beek the 6 months. You never know; he just might turn out to be the player we believed he will be.
Pretty interested to see a Donny Van de Beek and a Sabitzer midfield pivot, by the way. Very,
Mm.
very
Yeah,
intrigued with that combination. This is
yeah,
something I'd like because Van de Beek has never had someone like a Sabitzer to play
Yeah.
alongside him in this United setup.
Even a
Could
Casemiro.
work wonders. Yeah, even a Casemiro for that. No, I think Casemiro was there in the Bournemouth game.
No, but Casemiro wasn't having that form. He was just getting to the groove of the Premier League. Because
He
if you
did.
remember
The
at the
Bournemouth
start,
game was after the World Cup game. After the World Cup break, Paritosh Bhai.
uh,
The
but Van Dijk wasn't a regular. No, Van de Beek wasn't given the
wasn't a
enough game time
yeah,
with Casemiro.
correct. Yeah, but
I'm
yeah,
saying whenever he played in the earlier part of the season, Casemiro was just getting to the groove of the Premier League and the English game. And till the time Casemiro got very well fitted into the team, Van de Beek was never able to play substantial amount of time. I just want to see how he performs with a proper CDM behind him, with not having to have the defensive work rate that he is used to, because he's more of an offensive player with quality. Because there are glimpses of his brilliance, and we have never been able to see that for a consistent period of time. So
not a lot of our not a lot of
my
our
answer,
players have seen his runs or made use of his
yeah.
runs also.
Mhm. So I think my opinion was I think around the same way Delvin stands, because I really like him, because how he dealt with
Same
all the
here,
pressure.
same.
I really do like him, because if any other player would have been in his position, I think he would have quit by now, and he still wants to make it as a Manchester United player somehow. He wants to make this transfer work. He is constant. Even when he went on loan, he came back and he was still trying to get his place. And I don't think it has been fair on him. I just want him for a substantial amount of time to be in the side, and if he is not able to perform, then move on. So I think 6 month period is about right for United and Van de
League
Beek
also.
to Van de Beek to assess the situation and then look forward. Jay, I
His
am very
dedication,
appreciative of your comment. Thank you very much.
his dedication makes it very difficult to root against him.
Yeah.
That's what I've felt
And
throughout the course of his United career.
especially the calm he had. Do you remember that Rio Ferdinand interview,
Yeah,
which he had? I was so shocked by the maturity he showed, because he was not in the side, and any other player would have said this that I deserve better, or somewhere down the line. He never had a negative connotation attached to his statements. He was always like, I want to make a positive impact. I want to make the fans happy, even when there were signs of him not taking ownership and saying that I was not given enough time. He never said that. He was like, yeah, I need to perform better. He was always accountable for his performances. He was always trying to make things best from his end. So I think he should have a fair shot, and I do believe that he can get one at least for a 6 month period.
let's talk about the next midfielder, and that's Sabitzer. Now, it's very interesting that our midfield is suddenly packed with leaders. So currently, Sabitzer is the Austrian captain.
Yeah.
Brazil has started a new era with Casemiro as their captain, and so that's two leaders in our midfield. Now, speaking about Sabitzer, Sabitzer had an excellent game against Azerbaijan. Now it's Azerbaijan, sure, but then you have to beat what is in front of you. And he played very well. Uh, the injury concern is there, but then again, I think especially after having such a rich way of form, getting off the mark in club football as well. and then finally getting his groove in the international game. I think that was a case of just getting that rest until he finds himself fit to play in the Premier League. That is what I feel. But with Sabitzer also seeming like he's playing for a contract. I mean, if it was not, even if it was it was a little bit subtle in case of Weghorst, I think it's pretty obvious in Sabitzer's case that the man is actually looking to be a long-term part of United. Because to be really honest, I don't see him play any role in the Tuchel's side. Whatever you tell me, I don't believe Tuchel will have a place for him in his iteration of a Bayern side.
I don't think he wants even.
Yeah, and I hope to God, I know this is going a little off topic. I hope Tuchel's first order of business is giving Neuer the boot, like genuinely giving him the boot. Like I just don't want that bastard to be anywhere near Bayern at this point. Like, just the level of vitriol I have for that guy is even more than Liverpool, for example. Like that
You know,
guy is just
for me, I
Especially
think
after the Nagelsmann, I think
yeah.
especially after the
He
Nagelsmann
is
episode.
he is the reason why Nagelsmann was given the sack. Nothing can change my mind about that. He is the reason. Like plain and
why
simple, he is.
what transpired. I mean, I missed out a lot of football news lately,
Uh,
but
I think it's more like it's more hidden as far as the Chinese whispers are to be believed. It's the fact that Neuer is a very stronghold in the Bayern Munich setup, and
okay.
Nagelsmann didn't really prefer Neuer to be the number one goalkeeper. He wanted the younger ones to come in and have a run around. And because Neuer has been there for so long, he has had so many goalkeepers who have not been able to make a career in Bayern Munich because he's been
or
there like
Germany for that
I
matter.
think
Or
he has
Germany
been
for
there
that
for 10
matter.
years, like 10 years now, because I think 2011, 12, where he played for Schalke when Schalke was in the semi-finals, where
10,
we
11. So
defeated
that's
them
12 years
11.
now. 12 years,
Uh, so
12
uh,
years.
because that was the same season where Van der Sar had to
Retired.
retire, and
Yeah.
we had to hire a new goalkeeper. So David De Gea and Manuel Neuer
Neuer.
were two goalkeepers that were looked by Sir Alex. So, but because Neuer was German, he obviously preferred Bayern Munich because every German player wants to play for Bayern Munich. So he went
By
to
then
Bayern
it
Munich.
was done also. By then it
Yeah,
was done also.
I mean, but I think it was like that the like you can say 70-30 United, but for 30 United, 70 Bayern. And obviously he'd prefer Bayern, so he went to Bayern. Then we got De Gea and everything transpired like that. And I think for the past few seasons, just because of the sheer dominance of Bayern, nobody has been able to question Neuer, and especially because of the political powers that he holds in Bayern, he has been able to
Mhm.
have like a bit of this and that. Even the last manager had some tiff with Neuer, and if rumors are to be believed, Nagelsmann getting the sack is a huge responsibility on Neuer because he was the one uh, uh, who I think convinced the board to get Nagelsmann out because he was creating quote unquote inconveniences for the team. Even if you look at the record, Nagelsmann had a fantastic record with Bayern. So the statement that Oliver Kahn made that there things were about to if we can't wait for things to go bad or the result there were signs that will not be able to perform as we want to. I think it's all vague. The and majority of the football fans who follow a little bit who are having some kind of association with Bundesliga or some information about it believe that Neuer had a huge role in Nagelsmann getting the sack.
So
Okay.
to
No, when Delvin, you say that the first task you want Tuchel to undertake. For me, it's like I really don't care Bayern mein kya ho raha hai, nahi ho raha. I'm just like just knock out City from the Champions League, man, because
that's something that yeah
they are still City are still up for the treble. I just hope they get knocked out, man.
Yeah, but speaking about Parthas, to add to your point, I think because Nagelsmann sacked the goalkeeping coach, who was basically balls deep into Neuer, and it was actually Neuer himself who's leaking tactics and all from the dressing room. So I think that's the reason why he had the ski accident in the first place, maybe to be the league. But then
Acha,
this is a
do you think Nagelsmann going to Spurs? Do you think that's a possibility?
he shouldn't, but then I think at the end he will end up taking the job. He shouldn't, by all intents. It's not about the money, also exactly. He's. I'm
But that
saying
is the
no
only club.
because he's the
I think
type
that is
of.
the only club where there is an opening right now because I think that's the only place.
There
Or
are
do you
there
think
are going to be a
that
lot of openings in Syria come the end of this season. A lot of openings. Yeah.
is that somewhere you want to go after Bayern Munich?
AC Milan and Inter Milan. Why not? AC Milan are current UEFA
AC
Champions
Milan
League.
is a lucrative job. I think AC Milan is a lucrative job. AC Milan
Inter
because they
Milan
are on
too.
the
Inter
but
Milan too, because they are also in
Inter
the
Milan
quarters. No, they are also in the quarters. Three Italian teams
it's
in the
not about the
quarters.
quarters. I don't think it's about this perform. If we are to consider Nagelsmann, we have to see that have um, he'll also have a look about in the recent past how things have happened. And if you consider Inter Milan, they have a history of investing and then taking out their investments to create money. That happened with Lukaku and other investments that they made one season, and then they had to shift him for 100 million the very next season. So I think that Inter Milan is not that lucrative. AC Milan have been stabilized with the short investment that their owners had. And there was a similar kind of bid that Glazers were looking for, I think, to stabilize the financial situation of the club. AC Milan are in a better place. They are in a better place to have a proper build. So I think AC Milan, especially with the European history that they have, I think AC Milan are a more lucrative option. I don't really
Yeah,
see any other club. I think there is a chance
there are a
that
lot
if
of talk
Chelsea.
of PSG also joining in the sweepstakes.
But who? Why would he go to PSG, man? PSG. I don't think Qataris are going to invest. Qataris are looking for a way out. As soon as Neymar, Mbappe, and Messi leave, because Messi is leaving, I think, by the end of the season.
Which is exactly the type of team that Nagelsmann would enjoy coaching. This is a team who would be ready to be molded in his image. You take out the
Okay,
big
we'll
three
see.
from there.
I think it's a question which everybody would like to have answers, but only time will tell. Because
Yeah,
there are
exactly.
this option, this option, this option. We'll have to wait and see
Yeah,
how things
yeah,
are.
precisely.
But it will be interesting which club he chooses. Because I think he's a good coach. He's a great coach, even not a good coach. He's
Hopefully
a
not
great coach.
Spurs, because he will transform Spurs. That's for
Yeah.
sure. He will transform
But
Spurs.
I don't think nobody can transform Spurs. If
I
you
was
are,
about to say that nobody
uh,
can transform Spurs. They can transfer
up
Spurs.
until the
You
time,
cannot transform Spurs.
Up until the time Daniel Levy leaves, I don't think that club is bound for anywhere. If you can sack Jose Mourinho before a cup final, you are to be in the dumps for a long while because that is one manager I'll trust over my life. If I have to
In a
play
final,
uh, if, one match, I'll prefer him over Sir Alex Ferguson for a one game a cup final, I'll prefer Jose because he will get you the result anyhow. He'll beat up the oppositions. He'll fit himself in a dustbin to be there in the opposition dressing room and have like Jamal Gota in everybody's dinner. He'll do anything. And Jose Mourinho, you want that kind of bastard for you in a cup final. He fired him one game before that. Why would you do that? That's the stupidest thing you can do as someone who owns who is in charge of a
who's
football
running a
club.
football club. Exactly. Yeah.
That's the
Uh,
stupidest thing.
Precisely. Coming back to Sabitzer, Sabitzer now we've always seen in the games that he's played, that Sabitzer has this liking to take a shot from distance. So let it fly, for example. Uh, he's someone who can run constantly. One thing I've seen, that Sabitzer never runs out of energy. Uh, and now with Ericsson coming in, there will be a time where Ericsson will be eased into the action, of course, no doubt about that. But when Ericsson is fully fit to play, say 70 or 75 minutes, because I still don't want him playing 90. Ericsson is not a 90-minute footballer anymore. And everyone knows that. I think somewhere deep down, even Ericsson knows that. So would a Sabitzer Ericsson combo work wonders? Paritosh bhai, what are your thoughts about this particular combo? Because you have a midfielder who's going to run and keep running, and then there is a midfielder who will be, who will be the brains behind that operation. Classic example of brains and brawn. Do you think a midfield trio of Sabitzer, Ericsson, and Casemiro, when available, would that be a tantalizing prospect for you?
Yes and no, because uh, if we are to play these three, then where is Bruno Fernandes? Because the formation that we are playing is mostly 3-3-4. or even if we are playing a back five with three center backs and two wing backs who are constantly running up and down, we are playing probably a 5-3-2. That is the formation, two formations that we are playing. And we have shifted between these two, I think. It's either a 4-3-3 or a 5-3-2 when things, uh, when required, when we have injuries. Because when we had like injuries to the attacking options, then we played a 5-3-2, which we are not going to have. I think the formation that Eric Ten Hag is looking to build on is 4-3-3. So Bruno Fernandes is a must. We have seen this throughout the season. Bruno Fernandes is a workhorse along with the creative aspects that he has. So I think for Eric Ten Hag, Bruno Fernandes is a must. If Ericsson comes in, he's going to be a player who's going to start and then go off, I think, around like 55th minute or 60th minute even. Then we can have someone else coming in. So I think it is going to be a shift between Savitzer, Casemiro, and uh,
Fred.
Ericsson.
Okay.
No, for the remaining two positions, I think Bruno is
All
going
right.
to be for sure there. And sometimes when we want Bruno to be taken off, Ericsson won't be starting the game. Then Ericsson would come in around the 60th minute or 50th minute. Then we'll have a back pivot of Casemiro or Savitzer, or there can be a Fred coming in the 68th minute when required. So although it's a lucrative option which you proposed of Ericsson, Casemiro, and Sabitzer, but I think Casemiro and Sabitzer, even one of themselves is fine if we have a back duo of Varane and Martinez. The main problem with us was that we didn't have a proper centre back pairing who were reliable, who were resistant. Because I think Martinez is a very press resistant defender. He can move the ball around very well, so there is less load and less tension on this defensive midfielder. I think one can do the job. We can have two attacking options with Bruno Fernandes and Eriksen playing. Then we can take Eriksen off if we are winning game by a good margin. Then comes in Sabitzer or Fred or someone to shore up the defense. So I think that is the way we are going forward. We are going to play attacking football, if especially at the start. We're going to have to change the tactics as we move forward. So I don't think this particular pivot is going to be there for a long while. Somewhere down the line, in one game or two, where we have injuries, where there's a game which doesn't require that much attention, we need to rest Bruno Fernandes. There can be an option where Eriksen, Casemiro, and Sabitzer play, but I think most of the time Bruno Fernandes starts over everybody.
Fair enough, Paritosh bhai. Very, very good assessment. I personally love to see an Ericsson Sabitzer duo because I've seen the Casemiro Ericsson duo and it's worked wonders. Would love to see an Ericsson and a Sabitzer duo. Speaking about the other players, so this has been the first international break where quite a few of our first team players have got a significant amount of rest. Marcus Rashford was pulled out because of an injury. Shaw took a yellow. Shaw took a red card, which I still believe was a 1,000 IQ move for him to get rest. I do not believe. I do not believe that that was a red card which he thought he's not going to take. He was like, "Fuck this! I want some rest. I need to battle for top four." And he's taken a red. And he's taken a
Peace
red
out.
there.
Okay,
Yes,
Southgate, see you on the other side.
my job is done, but I haven't done anything. It's time to leave. And then we had Fred, who was not picked up for international duty. Rafa Varane announced his retirement from the international stage, so that basically gave him 2 weeks of free time. Casemiro, in spite of going to be playing both the games, is going to be in the hyperbolic time chamber. So whenever he comes, he's going to be fully fresh and fully well rested. We have Aaron Van Bissaka, who's basically in limbo as far as international career is concerned. Malasia did not have much of a role to play in the limited in the Netherlands squad when he was there. So all in all, a lot of our players have been rested. Then there was Sancho again, not picked. So these players, Anthony also not much of a rest, not much of a selection choice, if I may put. So all in all, Mojo sir, a large chunk, at least 75 to 80% of our starting 11 has given a good amount of rest. How important was this, considering the hell that we had been before this and the hell that we are going to be after this? This 2 weeks is a massive, massive rest for a lot of these players.
Yeah, I mean, look, a massive help. The the international break came at the right time for us, because if you look at the last few games wherein we drew with Crystal Palace, got absolutely, you know, our asses handed on to us against Liverpool, drew against Barcelona, and then there were a lot of games that we were actually coming back from behind to win. So the win against Fulham in the FA Cup just before the international break,
The
the
shitty
performance there,
Southampton draw. The shitty
yeah,
Southampton draw.
yeah. The Fulham performance just before the international break wasn't too much to speak about until they went down to 9 men. So there were results which were beginning to, get us to start worrying that the consistent run, um, that we would expect, given the reaching the business end of the season, that would have been difficult. So, like for the names that you mentioned, yeah, much deserved rest, but Bruno is still a concern for me, man. I mean, he played both the games for Portugal. What, one game for 75 minutes, one game for about 80 85 minutes. So Bruno is the concern. I mean, that guy needs a rest, and I guess this week is a good rest for him because he came back from international duty when, on Tuesday, if I
Yeah, I
recall
think
properly.
so. I think so. Yeah.
Tuesday was when Portugal played, right? Or
I
on
think they
Monday, I
played
don't know.
Monday night. I think they played Monday
Monday
night.
night. So if he's back at Old Trafford on Tuesday or Wednesday, that gives him Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That gives him 5 days off, I guess, which he hasn't had for the last 3 months. So look, it's a much needed rest that some of our players have had. But then for the likes of Delo, who have not been good enough, or good enough in the sense that the form they showed before the World Cup, so them having more game time would have helped them. Uh, Glad to see that our main goal scorer got a bit of a rest, Rashford. Uh, I really don't know what's happening with Martial. Is he anywhere close to coming back, or is he still in his own uh, Pogba mode? I'll
At
play
this
for 45
point,
minutes and then get injured.
we might as well discount Martial. I think
No, no.
No,
I
I
mean,
think
look,
no. I
like you
think
said
he
that
was back in training.
he
given
was
He
back
given
was
the
in
back
future
in
training.
training
Yeah.
congestion,
before. He was back in training before the break, so I think he'll be fit for. I don't think the Newcastle game. I'm not really sure because there hasn't been a report, but I think the
so
game
I may
after
as well
that
play
he'll
him the
have.
Newcastle game. Honestly,
Huh?
I mean, if he's been training and he's been in the
Because he was seen back
so-called,
in training before the international break. If I'm not wrong, he was back in training.
Yeah, he was. He
so
was. He was.
look, I would give him 45 minutes versus Newcastle, because he could
He'll
just
get
that
injured in
be that
that.
X factor. मैं वैसे ही बता रहा हूँ, वो 45 मिनट खेलेगा फिर हैमस्ट्रिंग पकड़ के बाहर हो जाएगा. Just get us that 1 or 2 goals versus Newcastle, then you sit for the remaining 17 games and then pick up your hands and go from here. So
You might as well. You get
sorry,
injured now. Come in the semis, score in the semis, get injured again. Come in the FA Cup final, score in the final, get
yeah. I
injured
mean,
again, and
look,
then come in all the crucial games, score and get injured. We don't mind.
I don't mind that either. But look, coming back to what you asked, it was important that our players, not just one, but all of them, got the much needed rest. Those who played regularly during the international break, there's only one that bothers me, and that's Bruno. McTominay getting a regular game time doesn't bother me because he wasn't playing much for us. So if he does come back with a better focus because he's got those goals, it helps us. If whosoever the others, Sabitzer played a game, scored, and got an assist. So whoever played, Delo wasn't good enough post the World Cup, but now he gets more game time. Maybe he comes back a little more sharper. So in that respect, those who got game times, good, they get more sharper. The ones who rested, they needed that much needed rest. And if all of them were back on a Monday night or on a Tuesday night, that gives them a good 4 to 5 or for 6 or 5 days, to recharge their batteries and then go again. But again, like I said, the only one who's worried me through this entire international break is Bruno, because the guy has just been relentless. Uh,
Looks worn out also. Looks worn out also.
I mean, yeah,
He
you,
won't
you could you
admit
could
it.
see
He's
you
too
could see it
proud to
versus
admit.
you could see it versus who were they playing the second game? Luxembourg.
Yeah, it was some bakery only. So yeah, might as
Yeah.
well.
So even in a versus the team, what did you say?
these teams are just bakery names: Luxembourg,
No, yeah,
Gibraltar, Malta.
no, it's not that. Look, for all those people who keep having a go at the likes
Bloomberg,
of Harry
Blue-
Kane or
blueberry
Ronaldo
cheesecake.
or Messi for the easy goals they get against the lesser teams, sports make simple. Saying you can only beat what's in front of you,
Yeah,
right?
I know, I know.
You can't possibly hold a Ronaldo against the fact that UEFA did those Euros qualification draws. So
Yeah,
and let's be clear, UEFA are never going to put England, Italy, Portugal, Spain, Germany, France in one group. So when that's not going to happen, and then you have lesser nations, so those kind of things happen. But against Luxembourg as well, I didn't find Bruno as being effective enough. So that's where I'm worried about. And then you need him against Newcastle. Without him, you don't have a midfield. So Bruno is the only concern. But for those who played, they needed those game times. For those who rested, they needed that rest. And I just hope they all come back together uh, like they were in the month of January, February, not necessarily March, because March
no,
we were
March
dilly
was a
dallying a
very
little.
dodgy month for us. Yeah,
Yeah.
March was a dodgy
Uh,
month for us.
so we just come back with a focus like January and February, and then in April or May the season ends. So if we get the energies right, then I guess we can win 2 trophies.
I think
Yeah,
around May
and
25th, there'll be the last game, the FA Cup final. No, there'll be the
no,
Europa League final if we qualify.
Europa League final. For us, Europa League final will be the last. But if you go like a European
If
season, then
we
the
no. I
Champions
qualify.
think
League game is
FA
the
Cup
last.
final is the last. FA Cup final is on the 1st of June.
Oh, FA Cup is
When's the
just.
when's the Europa final then?
Europa
Went
final
last
always
May
is
last year.
before Premier
May
League.
last
This
year.
time, because this time the Premier League ends May 28th.
Oh,
May
it's because of
28th.
World Cup. It's because of
Yes,
World Cup because there was
yes,
a huge chunk
ये
right.
जिस
out.
तरह हमारे फिक्सचर्स चल रहे हैं ना, पता नहीं हम साले जुलाई महीना खत्म कर रहे
हाँ, because बहुत सारे तो हमारे
हैं.
वो भी हो रहे हैं ना, पोस्टपोन भी हो रहे हैं ना again.
हाँ,
हाँ,
so June 1st,
क्योंकि
I think, is the last game.
यूरोपियन सीजन वैसे भी ब्रेक ही होता था ना. यूरोपियन सीजन वैसे भी दिसंबर और जनवरी में ब्रेक होता था, फिर फरवरी में चैंपियंस लीग यूज्ड टू कम बैक. या मतलब हम लोग तो यूरोपा खेल रहे हैं बट यूरोपियन फिक्सचर वैसे भी 2 महीना बीच में ऑफ रहता था करीब करीब,
हम्म,
तो उनको तो कुछ फर्क पड़ा नहीं वर्ल्ड कप से. द लीग वाज शिफ्टेड, तो लीग इस बार लीग भी लेट खत्म होएगा, मतलब
हम्म.
हाँ,
लीग भी आई थिंक लेट खत्म होगा. फिर उसके बाद तो इट विल बी टफ फॉर द चैंपियंस लीग टीम्स इवन इफ सिटी आर टू क्वालिफाई. सिटी चेल्सी भी तो दोनों है ना शायद.
हाँ.
Uh,
सिटी है बस.
तो
चेल्सी
नो
आर
चेल्सी
आउट.
भी है. चेल्सी उसको नो चेल्सी डॉर्टमंड को हरा के पहुंच गया ना.
Chelsea
अच्छा,
are in the
अच्छा.
quarters, sir. Chelsea and
Oh, okay.
City are the English teams in the quarter. Spurs lost to Milan. Spurs
Spurs
lost to
lost.
Okay.
Milan.
So yeah, so I think even if any English side is to qualify, which is going to be City, I think. Uh,
No English sides qualifying this time.
no man, I think Tuchel would take time, but Tuchel is Tuchel. You never know.
I
Yeah,
don't want
that
City
is a
anywhere
good
near a
question.
fucking trophy, man. I mean, I don't want them to have a sniff at the treble. I hope Arsenal wins the league. I hope we
अच्छा
fuck City
FA
in the
Cup,
FA Cup final if we get to the final, and I
FA
hope
It's
Cup.
us.
Bayern dump
I
them from
think.
Champions League.
I think I'll put us favourites over City in the FA Cup. I will.
I
I
just,
will.
it would be a classic if City were to have a trophyless season. Arsenal win the league, we beat them in the FA Cup, and Bayern knock them out. बहन
Imagine if
चोद.
Sheffield.
By God,
Imagine if
मैं
अच्छा
मतलब
Sheffield
मैं
who you
रोऊंगा
United
घर
got?
के
beat
बाहर.
them.
Who you got for the Champions League? Who you got for the
Uh,
Champions
Me,
League?
Napoli
Bayern,
for me. Napoli for
Huh?
me. Napoli for
Bayern,
me.
Mojo sir,
Nap-
Bayern.
Mojo sir. Bayern, Bayern on our sixth now, sixth Champions League now. This will be the seventh one if they win it.
no.
I think six.
Bayern
I
are
think
on
they're on
five.
seven.
Five,
नहीं
five.
No
यार,
man, they
Bayern are
won the sixth
ज़्यादा है,
one
ज़्यादा है.
recently. No, they won the sixth one ना when Lewandowski got the golden boot. वो जो Ballon d'Or जीतने वाला था इस साल.
हाँ.
Eight
Bayern won
second.
that season. Na?
1 second. 1 second.
Bayern are on six, I think. I think Bayern on six.
Bayern have six. Yeah, Bayern have six. So it will come
PSG
into
को हराया था.
seven. हाँ,
किसको हराया
PSG को
था
हराया
अभी
था.
recent?
PSG.
PSG ना, तो वो
Koeman
नेमार
has
फ्लॉप
scored.
हुआ था जिसमें. अरे the COVID one, वो वही वाला था ना.
Neymar, that was Neymar's best performance in the
हाँ,
PSG
मतलब
shirt, but they still
PSG
lost.
का जब लगातार फिक्सचर्स हुए थे बिकॉज ऑफ कोविड, तब एक
हम्म,
बार वो बबल में डाल के करवाया था ना. तो नेमार वो ब्राजील में बीच पे खेल के आया था, तब उसके बाद लगातार अच्छा खेला था, फिर फाइनल में फिर रख दिया था। तो वही वाला था। हाँ, तो तब वो 6th था, ये 7th होगा, तो they'll equal लिवरपूल ना।
They'll go
लिवरपूल के
ahead of
साथ
Liverpool.
होगा।
Liverpool have 6,
लिवरपूल 7,
9.
लिवरपूल
Uh,
7 AC मिलान से इक्वल कर गए
Liverpool are
लास्ट
on
जीत के।
6.
लिवरपूल 7।
six,
Liverpool are on 6.
six, six.
अरे एक बार
Liverpool
चेक
are on
कर,
six.
लिवरपूल आर ऑन
हाँ,
7।
Liverpool are on six. They were on five. They beat
गूगल कर,
Spurs.
गूगल कर ना,
अरे
एक बार
हाँ
गूगल
भाई
कर,
6. Barca, Liverpool, Bayern, all
एक
are on
बार
six.
सर्च कर ले। इफ यू हैव अ लैपटॉप अराउंड, एक बार सर्च कर ले, आई थिंक लिवरपूल आर ऑन 7। एक बार सर्च कर ले,
भाई लिवरपूल का तो पिछवाड़ भी पता है मुझे, जब जो तुम तो साला नहीं हो सकते उस रन पे।
एक बार, एक
Six,
बार।
six,
6 है
six,
पक्का,
six. मैं बोल रहा हूँ
क्योंकि
6.
ठीक है, ठीक है।
Liverpool, Bayern, Barca, all of them are on 6. Whoever wins from these will level AC Milan on 7. So if
Hmm.
so, I have predicted a Bayern Napoli final with Napoli winning it. By the way, you heard it here first.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah.
My thing is
नेपोली,
just
अब यार ओसमन महंगा हो जाएगा यार। नेपोली आई वांट टू विन बिकॉज ऑफ द अंडरडॉग थिंग, बट वो प्लेयर महंगे हो जाएंगे उनके। हम लोग उसको किम को भी तो फॉलो कर रहे हैं शायद, तो अगर
no,
दीज
so
टू आर टू
my
कम
my
He
thing
has a
is,
release clause though. Kim का
हैं
release clause है. Kim
क्या
Kim
कितना?
का release clause है 50. Kim has a
अच्छा,
release clause. It is in which is valid in June, July, I guess. Up until
ओके।
that phase, he has a release clause. So we are monitoring him, and if there is anything upon release clause, they set there. So that's not a problem as far as Kim is concerned. Osimhen is a
ओसमन
sticking
150 मिलियन।
point. I want Osimhen
ओसमन
though. I want Osimhen out. If you're asking me if it is Harry Kane or Osimhen, I'll always take Osimhen over
ओसमन
Kane.
इज द better choice, obviously a better choice। मतलब
And for
लॉन्गर,
I mean then
backup,
अब खाली
and for
हैरी
he
केन, द ओनली थिंग वर्किंग फॉर हैरी केन इज कि वो गेम बना के खेलता है, असिस्ट भी होते हैं, गोल्स भी होता है, एंड इज अ प्रीमियर लीग प्रूवन
तो
प्लेयर।
Osimhen भी
द
कर
ओनली
रहा है यार. तो Osimhen भी कर रहा है.
the
नहीं,
thing is
बट स्टिल,
Osimhen gives you another what good 7 to 8 years.
या
Exactly.
Harry
हैरी
Kane
केन
gives you
3
at
4,
maximum 2 or 3 years.
3 4, 3 4 मैक्स
Hmm.
4 मैक्स।
We don't need a lot of win now players. I think it's time that we build a team. We've bought a couple of win now players for this season, and that's all well and good. You need that. You need characters in the side, like Tenag
Right.
said. But then Harry Kane is not exactly a character because he hasn't won anything. With all due respect to Harry Kane, all due respect to Harry Kane, great striker, England record goal scorer, Spurs record goal
डू यू
scorer.
थिंक ही विल साइन an extension?
Uh, Either that or he's going to Bayern. Bayern need a striker.
Sir, do you think Harry Kane is going to sign an extension with Spurs?
Nah, he'll
No,
not.
It's
I
either
also think.
that
I
because
also
if
think he's done. I also
because
See,
think
the
if
he's
only
done
thing is,
because
yeah,
look,
I think the
there
Conte
is
episode does it for him.
there's an
I think the
interesting
Conte
there's an
episode does
interesting
it.
chat about this in the sense that if Harry Kane doesn't sign with doesn't sign an extension or a new contract with Spurs,
Spurs.
where does he go? Because for him, breaking that Alan
Why, man?
Shearer record of the Premier League is a matter of great pride. So if he leaves Spurs, then who is he going to go to in the Premier League to
I
be able
think I
to?
think I think the Alan Shearer record will be diminished by the trophies that Bayern will promise him, because he has not won a single one in
Yeah,
his club career.
maybe that is the thing.
Even
If
internationally,
he
what has he won in
He'll have
see,
a
international?
I
genuine shout
honestly
for
if
Ballon d'Or also if he plays
see
at Bayern and he
Yeah,
ends up
yeah,
winning the
he'll have a genuine.
Champions League.
If he wins Champions
honestly
League, if he wins
if
Champions
I
League with
was a
Bayern,
professional footballer, then yes, for me what would matter is the number of trophies I have, the medals I have, rather than the number of goals I have. And the point is, how many of those goals have been effective enough in winning a trophy? So
None.
he scored 200 plus and he hasn't won shit. He might as well go to Bayern, score 70 and win what 10 trophies,
and he doesn't even have the cult status that Alan Shearer had with
right?
Newcastle, because
Yeah,
Alan Shearer was a devoted Newcastle fan. Although
I mean
Harry Kane has
he
been
is
has
he
been
is a
devoted,
Spurs fan, but
but I think there have been I think especially the last season where he was almost about to go, then he had to write a full fucking Instagram post that I'm not going and thank you for the
He
support and
shouldn't have. He shouldn't have. You wanted to go, it's
no need,
fine. You shouldn't have
no
written.
need.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think everybody was okay with him leaving, apart from Spurs fans, because obviously they'll be jealous. But everybody understood that, okay, man, finally he has some ambition. Let him go.
and
I
he was
think
slated to
now,
go to City.
yeah, City
I so
150
wanted, I so
million.
wanted him to go,
Hey,
na. I so wanted him to go
no,
because even if he was at City, he wouldn't have been like Haaland. Haaland, I knew is a
he
different beast who would rip
this
apart the league.
Levy is such a dickhead. The guy rejected 150 million pounds.
Yeah,
Like,
idiot.
how can you reject such a eye-watering price? Like, serious, how much did you want
See,
for him? 200?
in
I so
hindsight,
wanted Harry Kane to sign for City. That would have been a slap in the face of City fans as well, who were like, we don't spend that much money on a single player. Then that would have been a slap on
no,
that.
so in
And I don't
hindsight,
think that would have. Yeah,
Paritosh, what you say in hindsight, that's very applicable. That had City signed Harry Kane, then they wouldn't have signed Haaland. Point one.
I
Point
knew.
two. If I think Danny Levy's own chairmanship is very reminiscent of what we have Glazers and Woodward here, because they wouldn't sell an asset for 150 million because साला उसमें से 100 million तो फिर से spend करना पड़ेगा ना to give a equally talented guy to the squad. So I mean 150 million would have been like wonders to pull down the debt that Spurs themselves are in. They owe
I
something like
think
900 odd million.
I think it's
So
lesser about that. It was more about the fact that mostly कोई भी Spurs जो आना चाहता है ना, it's 60% because Harry Kane is here. They
hmm,
know that he's going to get the goals. अगर Harry Kane you
so
take it out of the side and you अगर दो
Jack
player Heung-min Son और Harry Kane हटा दो, nobody will come to Spurs.
Son is
Nobody will
also
come
is
to Spurs.
gone. As far as form is concerned, Son is gone. He's washed.
हाँ, मतलब अभी के लिए but Son is a good player. You can't relate. Harry Kane तो खैर अलग लेवल पे है. Harry Kane has been consistent for so long. Harry Kane is different. But यही दो प्लेयर तो हैं जो ये टीम एक तरह से मतलब who have been driving them for like past few seasons. इस साल हाँ Son hasn't been there. But अगर ये दो प्लेयर हटा दो उसके बाद who is there? Nobody. And
No.
Harry Kane,
right.
especially if you remove Harry Kane from that side, nobody is coming. So I think the 150 odd million जो हटाया ये Daniel Levy reject किया, that was because he knew कि if Harry Kane goes, nobody will come to Spurs. जो पूरा उनका marketable identity है Tottenham Hotspurs का, जो भी वो कर रहे हैं अपने स्टेडियम के साथ और जो भी, that is partly because Harry Kane is there. Harry Kane हाँ हमारे लिए नॉर्मल है, बट इंग्लैंड में तो वही है ना बेस्ट स्ट्राइकर. अब वो टॉप स्कोरर भी बन गया.
Anyways,
English fans
let's
consider
get
him the
let's get back to United.
Yeah.
best.
So the
So
other option that was there, so it was, so now we're looking for two strikers apparently. Now one of them, the primary striker is either going to be Harry Kane or Victor Osimhen. That's no doubt about it. But there are a lot of gossips going around where two other names are propping up as far as backup strikers are concerned. One is Gonzalo Ramos, Benfica, and the other one is Evan Ferguson from Brighton and Hove Albion. Now, I'm in favor of Evan Ferguson for three reasons. One, that guy's a monster at age 18. He's an absolute madman. Like, he's basically like Haaland, but with the tenacity of Rooney when he burst onto the scene. That's a dangerous combination at any age group for any player. Second, fulfills the homegrown category, which is becoming very, very important nowadays for any Premier League side. Because of the fact that he was out of Brighton's academy, makes him very more, automatically puts in that homegrown stamp on him. Third, learning from someone like an Osimhen, or maybe getting that exposure under a manager like Ten Hag, who's known to nourish such type of players. I think Evan Ferguson automatically becomes a tailor-made fit, and he was one of their best players against France also in the game against France. He
Right.
the France players have gone on record and said that we've been watching videos of this dude just to make sure that he doesn't screw us over. That's He's already well respected in the international circuit as well. So I want him because Benfica are asking 120 million euros for Gonzalo Ramos, who's going to be a backup over
Yeah.
here. Like, no,
Yeah.
absolutely not. It's Evan Ferguson and Osimhen for me.
Yeah,
Next,
I agree. I agree with you on that. Those two should be the ideal signings for strengthening the striker part.
I think
yeah,
Weghorst, for whatever love and for whatever respect he's showing for us right now, isn't cut out for a Manchester United standard or
no,
quality. So yeah, these two, Ferguson and Osimhen, definitely yes.
yeah.
But I
Uh,
think as soon as Manchester United make a move for Ferguson, there's going to be the Manchester United tax attached to him, and is going to cost us a lot more than any club would
ठीक है,
should
look,
be able.
अब कॉस्ट करेगा तो करेगा, आप क्या कर सकते हैं? I mean,
it's 50
कॉस्ट
60
कॉस्ट के चक्कर
currently.
में
It's
We
50,
we, we
60,
literally
which is
had no strikers.
inclusive
If you
of.
think about it, if you think about it, we
Mojuzar is
literally
feeling
have no
Qatari.
strikers.
Mojuzar is feeling Qatari. He believes that money won't be a problem come by the summer.
So do I. So do I.
No, I don't think
I
it will be. Look,
Yeah.
irrespective of whoever buys us, right? The most important and the first task they got to do to win over the fans
Bad
is to
management.
make sure
Bad
one,
management.
they put in a football structure in place with a proper director of football and keep your football separate from your commercial decisions. And two,
Mm.
sign players to reinforce the confidence among fans that yes, these guys are doing it right. Because you don't want to become another Glazer who comes in from nowhere and then gets you only Berbatov and nobody, and then Sir Alex Ferguson has to defend it, saying that there's no value in the market. So I mean, so whoever buys us, given where we are as a club and as a fan base, will come in and give us at least 3 to 4 players that the manager wants. And yes, there will be sales. There are about 7 or 8 players, which I believe four or
are
five or six
definitely
might be,
going out.
yeah,
Definitely going
four
out.
or five or six of them might be sold. 2 or 3 might be moved on. The likes of Jones or Tuanzebe, they might not have any market value. They just will be released from the books. So yeah, whoever buys us will come in
I
and give
think
us 4 to 5 good players from where we can then build.
I think the wage bill would also be a huge question mark
Because we
because I
have
think the
to we have to reduce the wage bill because we are come under the eye line of the FFP,
mm,
coupled with the debt amount that we have now. Now let's remove the debt out of the equation, whether the debt is going to be fully paid or whether it's not, whether the debt remains. The fact that we have debt automatically makes our wage bill that sore patch in the eyes of the FFP. Now, for all intents and purposes, FFP is dead to me because of the sheer incompetence of that concept. But then I think now they have taken steps in the right direction, perhaps, to, at
Everton.
least, yeah, Everton's getting screwed over, by the way. So for them,
And I think
avoiding the,
I I, I read it somewhere that starting this summer, right, you cannot sign players on deferred payment plans. Like it's
yes,
100 million player, you put him on a 5-year plan that you'll keep paying 15-20 million every season. You can't
five
do that
years
starting
is
this
the
summer.
most. 5 years
Sorry?
is the most that you can give a player contract. 5 years is the most, not the
5 years? No,
prison.
no. What I'm
Yeah.
talking about is the transfer fees. The what clubs are doing, the likes of
The
what Chelsea have done,
breakdown transfer
what
for Enzo,
what
what
we've
they've
also
done for
done with the
Enzo.
likes of Anthony and when we signed Maguire, that we paid 80 million over 4 or 5 seasons,
No.
right? So usually in this, what happens is that we give bonds to our banks. Our banks
Mm.
issue Leicester 80 million for Harry Maguire. Leicester go and cash that 80 million all up front, while we keep paying our bank in small tokens every season. So those deferred transfer fees will go away from this summer. That's what I read somewhere. If that's the case, then one, it'll help bring down a lot of these stupid values of players, and two,
Mm.
clubs will start living out of their own means.
Do you
I
think,
think
Monica,
you're
do you honestly think that the value would go down? Because I don't think the values are going to come down.
I
They're
think, look,
only
Chelsea
going
has
to
already
the,
broken the market here. Chelsea have
no,
already
no. The
broken the
reason why I
market.
believe the values will go down is because, look, it's one thing to pay 100 million upfront, and it's another thing to pay 100 million over 5 years. So if you do not have 100 million sitting in your bank, of course you'll not be able to afford a player worth 100 million. So उस प्लेयर का 100 मिलियन वैल्यू होने का कोई मतलब नहीं है ना जब कोई पे कर ही नहीं पाएगा.
आई थिंक मतलब ट्रांसफर फीस शायद हर प्लेयर की उतनी हाई ना हो बट इन जनरल ट्रांसफर मार्केट जब एक बार इन्फ्लेट हो जाता है कोई भी मार्केट एक बार इन्फ्लेट हो जाता है तो उतना डिफ्लेट नहीं हो पाता है
नहीं,
मतलब
correction आएगा, trust me. It's only the
करेक्शन आएगा
English when the English clubs land
yes
up being in the transfer
yes
market,
yes
they get screwed over by everybody across Europe.
and
And
Because then
certain
there's
obnoxious.
the
I think
money.
certain I think it's only certain English clubs not every English club
No, no. I mean, even for the likes of
Patush
Everton,
bhai,
when they
just say Man United. It's okay. Everyone will
even Chelsea
understand.
का
no
reason
look,
even
on
Chelsea
on a serious note, even when Everton goes signing somewhere in someone across Europe, वो 20 million का होगा, Everton को 30-35 million में मिलेगा,
hmm.
right? वो 30-35 million का होगा, United जाएगी, उसको 60 देना पड़ेगा,
Hmm.
right? Part of it also depends upon how your negotiation team is. Our football structure is screwed up. I mean, the way we
Was
approach
screwed up.
the
Yeah.
way we approach negotiations is nothing short of harakiri. It's madness. So I believe that if in my bank if I am a United, even if I get taken over by whosoever, I don't have 300 million sitting in my bank account. There's no way I'm going to be going and rushing paying Osman 120 million to sign up. No, I can't afford it. मेरे बाकी भी क्लब के खर्चे हैं, मेरे करंट वेजेस हैं, कहाँ से निकलेगा सारा खर्चा? So thereby, I believe the transfer fees would come down, not substantially, but say 15, 20, 25% definitely. If not
Enough to
immediately
make a
this summer,
difference.
maybe over
They'll
two
come down
summers.
to prices. Yeah. I think it's also कि अब English clubs को या तो फिर unite हो जाए अगर एक idealistic world में, if they unite and say कि हम लोग नहीं पे करने वाले इतना ज्यादा पैसा हर player के लिए, but
No, वो नहीं हो
I don't,
सकता, वो नहीं हो
वो
सकता.
that is
Look,
not going to
the, the
happen.
way
ये
the
ज्यादा
way these
idealistic है.
clubs, these owners have financed their ownerships, and the way they have their sponsorship models in place, that they need to be seen, signing or spending big or whatever it is. It's the money matters of the Premier League has got a little dirty over the last 4 to 5 seasons.
Ever since that Sky deal,
Sky deal.
which based the
अरे वो
broadcasting
broadcasting deal
deal
तो बहुत
basically.
बड़ा deal हुआ था.
So the main reason why
No,
Premier
I
League
believe.
clubs,
Look, I believe the point when Premier League went to the point of no return in terms of crazy transfers was when Abramovich bought Chelsea. Period.
Uh,
I think it was still manageable up until that point, sir. Because
No, it wasn't.
at that
He
no,
he.
because
The moment he stepped in, he was signing players worth 30, 35 million pounds who probably 100% weren't that amount of money. And then when City got taken over, फिर तो there was just no end
I
to it.
think
And then
it was from the City era, I believe. But
nah,
I think, of course, we'll have
I
changed
am hundred
opinions with that.
percent I am 100% of the opinion that the transfer fees started getting inflated ever since Chelsea were bought by Abramovich and he sought immediate success. And Mourinho wanted ready-made players to come in and give him that run. It started from there. Before then, all clubs were living out of their own so-called generated revenues. Yes, United signed Veron for 27 million. Yes, we signed Ruud van
Rio,
Nistelrooy for 19 million. Yes, we signed Rio for 30
Rio.
million. That was all our generated money, right? Chelsea were never generating that sort of money for the squad they built up in 2 years the moment this guy Abramovich came in. So this nuisance started from him coming in,
I mean,
and
Moses
even
sir,
even before then we don't
I,
recall even the likes of Real Madrid were doing businesses up to 25, 30 million,
I mean,
right?
Moses sir, if we are looking at football history and how money is made in football, we have to look back way back. When Liverpool was established as a club, United were not that strong. Earlier, Liverpool won many things. Majorly, the money came from the place that Liverpool was a harbor, if I'm not wrong. And
Yeah,
there were like huge trading contracts that were going from Liverpool. So that particular money people invested in the club. It was not that huge compared to the transfer market right now or the football market right now, but it was still huge sums of money. So guys were able to afford to go to Europe and have these trips, to afford to uh, have stakes in the club and have better players and have better facilities. Similar thing happened when the trade shifted to Manchester. So the money comes in from somewhere. Uh, Maybe it's a Russian oligarch coming in, and the league is already a multi-billion dollar enterprise. So the money comes in from somewhere down the line. If somebody else is to rise, and Chelsea rose like that. City rose from the Qatari investment because money always comes from business in some form of business at least. Even when
Yeah,
United and
absolutely.
Liverpool were established. There were business. There were businesses that were established. Right now, the money came in from the only way that it could, because there was only oligarch money or oil money there. The huge chunks of money that came in England during the Manchester United and Liverpool era was because of the trading and all the harbors that were being established. So I think money comes in from somewhere or the other. We just like to point fingers because we are like, oh,
No,
we are
it's
clean,
look.
but
No, no, no.
nobody's clean. I don't think
Look. You got
anybody's
to.
clean.
No, no. I certainly believe prior to the Glazers, my club was pretty much cleanest amongst all. And the reason why I say that is because you go and read the history of the Premier League, right? United and Liverpool and Arsenal whatever they built in terms of their stadiums, in terms of expansion of the stadiums, or in terms of signing new players, or in terms of getting squads that could win, it was all done by the resources generated by the clubs themselves. Chelsea were the first club in the Premier League, right, who brought in somebody from outside. No, not the club didn't bring in somebody from outside. That guy bought the club, and then the inflation of transfer fees started happening. Chelsea before then couldn't afford a Veron at 27 million or a Ferdinand at 30 million. We generated money through our own success. Now, when you
Uh,
talk about development of these two cities and the money comes in from somewhere or the other, then you also got to look into the fact if you go way back then when these two clubs started, right? You're absolutely right that there were people putting in the money to get people together to play a game. Then people were buying tickets in small quantities, which will fund the team. All those things started very locally. But if you talk about
Mohit sir,
right
one
here, right
question.
now, yeah,
Mohit sir, one question. Where do you think the money came in for United Kingdom in general? Because it was
United
established in
Kingdom in
the
general. अबे तुम कौन
yeah.
सी हिस्ट्री लेके बैठ गए हो यार?
Guys,
Because
do subscribe to our
money,
channel for the next
चलो.
episode of
money came,
Footnomics.
money came in from the colonization that happened.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was,
Okay. Okay. So
That's
we can have this
give
history discussion
give
anytime when
but
Kohinoor.
you
I
want me
think
to.
money comes in
But
from somewhere. Money
but
comes in from
football,
somewhere. No.
football. If I can point a finger where the market started getting crazy was the point
Up
when
until the recent
Abramovich
history.
bought Chelsea and inflated transfer prices. Those transfer prices became uglier the moment you had these guys invest into City, and they became totally out of control the moment PSG came and those Neymar and sort of transfers happened for 160, 170 million sort of things.
220.
So it is what it is, and that's where the nuisance has happened. That uh, today prices are at a point where there are clubs going out of business here. Come on, I mean, I have for the 15 years that I stayed in England, I don't
Mm.
recall having heard of any football club going out of business. The much I've heard in the last 10.
You know the market
So
is fucked that a 35 million signing is being called a steal nowadays.
exactly. Look, the way we were talking about when we signed Van de Beek for 35 million, it's a steal.
Varan,
How the hell United
Varan,
negotiated this? How the hell
Varane.
that happened?
Varan.
So
People are
Rafael
calling
Varan.
even
Casemiro a
Varane.
steal at 70 million. People are calling Casemiro a steal at 70 million. It's how fucked the
So
market
so
is.
that's what I'm saying, that the situation is that it started at Chelsea, but at this point in time, I couldn't care who comes in and owns us. My gut feeling is that they will give Eric Ten Hag 4 to 5 players to establish themselves as the good blokes to have come in to support the manager, and then let's see what they do with Old Trafford and other
And the
facilities.
players
Because
who immediately strengthen our squad as well. Not exactly the raw diamonds or something like that. They
look,
give
I
us
I
players.
I believe Eric Ten Hag will balance it out for the players that he has sent out on loan, but he did use in the preseason friendlies. I don't know what's to happen with them. The likes of कौन थे यार वो लड़के दो?
Teles is
Uh,
Ahmad,
out. Teles is out.
Ahmad,
no, Teles
Ahmad,
and Bai. I'm not even talking about. I'm talking about those two
Ahmad,
young
Ahmad,
lads.
Moyo sir, Ahmad.
Ahmad might, yeah. So Ahmad is one of them. Then he sent out Savage. Uh, then he
They are
sent out.
academy
That's
boys,
Charlie
no?
Savage. Charlie
Yeah,
Savage. Charlie
so
Savage.
it's a balance that he has to get right. But then if I look at it, balance in terms of getting it right, then I would say that if he has 5 players to sign, he should sign 3 to 4 established players. And given his awareness and his knowledge around Europe, I guess we should be able to get those 4 or 5 players within, say, about 200 million. But the next striker ही अगर 100 million का आएगा, so I think that spend will go to about 250. We will land up selling about 120 million worth of players that we have. So net spend will be about 150 million.
There's a good free agent market also, just in case if you would want to pick up a
Now,
free signing.
those free agents are not worth the Eric Ten Hag time.
Would you take Paul Pogba back?
Yeah.
I'll take nobody back. I'll take none of those free agents, man. Honestly.
No, Juju Jogpa is not any. Is essentially a free agent also. So I don't know where that stories come from. he's behaving like a free agent, but he's not one.
No, I
Also,
because of the injuries that he has had, there were rumors that they are to
Yeah,
have
there's
a
a
mutual understanding of ending the
I
contract.
think Juventus will terminate his contract in a
yeah.
mutual understanding. It
I
will
think
happen.
someone else has put a hyena in Juventus stadium, and that's why Pogba's the one getting fucked over
I
there.
think Juventus are also going are on their way down. No?
They
Juventus
are
are struggling.
halfway there. They're halfway
Mhm.
there.
Even
And if
financially, they are struggling a lot.
yes, if these allegations come out to be true, then they're getting fucked anyways. So they are as good as down now. It's
So,
Napoli's time
if
basically
we
in
are
Serie A.
considering the midfield, we are talking about striking position. Who do you think is going to be the key target for the midfield position? There have been
For
even
us,
enough Frankie talks. Yes, there have been enough Frankie talks. I don't think Frankie should be the primary target. Who do you think is the primary target for Erik Ten Hag in the midfield position?
Should
I,
it be
I,
a
I would,
primary target? So I believe there are two players who I've been constantly looking forward for. One is
Mm.
Alan Varela from Boca
Boca.
Juniors, and then
Yeah.
there is another South American player who plays for Sporting. That's Manuel Ugarte. He was absolutely amazing
Mhm. Yes,
against
yes.
Arsenal in
Against
the
Arsenal.
Europa
Yes,
League. He's
yes,
so
yes,
look,
yes.
outstanding.
I wouldn't know players by names, but then if you were to talk about positions, I think we need a CDM, a quality CDM to back up with Casemiro,
Yes, yes, and we need an
and
eight.
Probably a younger one. Probably a
and then we
younger
need an
player.
eight. Yeah,
Both are young.
sorry.
Both Varela and Ugarte are young. Ugarte is 22, I think, and Alan Varela is also somewhere in his early 20s.
I
So
think he's
both young
24,
players.
25. I think
Yeah,
he's
so
24,
both
25.
who Alan Varela,
Yeah.
yeah, both of
Anyways,
them are
look,
in
I
their
I, I
20s though.
guess Delvin, it's coming to about almost 2 hours now,
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
we
I
can do this
think
transfer talk at the next video
yeah,
then.
yeah. I think it's best that we
Yeah.
wrap. It was a great stream. Thank you so much, Mojisa Paritosh Bhai, for joining in, and
Anytime, guys.
thank you so much for all of you guys in the chat as well, for joining in and making your opinions know as well. As you all guys know, that very close. I think we're less than 20 subscribers away from 2,000 subscribers, guys. So please smash that like button. Please click on that subscribe button so that we reach our goal by the end of this month. I think there's one more day. I think there is absolutely no reason to see why we can't reach 2,000 by the 31st. So please do go ahead and click on that subscribe button. Also press on the bell icon so that you're notified for every video that we come out with. We are perpetually active on our social media as well. We are active on Instagram and Twitter. So do go ahead and give us a follow there. We are perpetually active in both the spheres. Apart from that, we are obviously, our WhatsApp group is the stuff of legend. I say this in every stream. Every day is match day on our official WhatsApp group, and we'd love you to have become a part of that ever growing family. We always have room for more, and with the Premier League coming so close to us, uh, the atmosphere is getting high. We're getting into the match day spirit, so do join us there. We'd love to have you there. Also, special mention, we are having the screening for the United Newcastle game on Sunday. Is going to be at Cafe Amaris. So do join us in large numbers, guys. United screenings recently have been great events. If we want to, delete the Liverpool memory from our history, then yes, apart from that, all the screenings have been legendary. So we want you to be a part of the screening. We want to create a feral atmosphere. So do join us in large numbers, guys. It's going to be a memorable experience not only for you but for us. We'd love to meet new people. So we'd want you to join us there as well. With that being said, this is Delvin and Paritosh Bhai, along with Mojo sir, wishing all of you a good night. Do take care of yourselves, stay safe, be healthy, and we'll see you soon with another stream. Till then, goodbye, good night, and GG on you guys.
Take care, guys. Take care.
Yeah.